afternoon from the lobby of Bruner Dodge in the corner of the South Loop and Highway 281 in Stephenville. Make sure you swing by. There's plenty of free food on its way, courtesy of Cotton Patch Cafe, refreshments, and giveaways later in the half hour. We'll also bring back those life-size dice for the second consecutive week. And if your name is drawn, you could win an oil change, Tarleton athletic gear, a car wash. You could even win a car, Coach. Wow. Courtesy of Greg Bruner. Lunch with Lonn is sponsored by Bruner. Yeah, they are. Lunch with Lonn is sponsored by Bruner Motors, so we thank them for their support in making this show possible. Coach, good to see you. I hope you've recovered from that long road trip to Portales.
Casey, it's just another, get up in the morning and go to work again, and after 25 years, I think you get used to those road trips.
Coach, let's start by breaking down the two games since our last show. The first being a matchup on Saturday night in Wichita Falls against Midwestern State. The Mustangs entered the game at 10-4 overall and 6-1 in the Lone Star Conference. And this is a game your team would lose 50-34. And we talked a lot at last week's show about the rivalry between these two programs and how tough it is to play at DL League and Coliseum. And I thought it was a pretty great basketball atmosphere on Saturday night.
Yeah, they have a good atmosphere over there, Casey. And we've had some great ball games with them in the last few years. The year that last year, we had a triple overtime loss there last year. The year before that, we actually broke their 40-game winning streak there, and so it's always been a great rivalry. It wasn't, the game was kind of a very ugly game over there last Saturday night. I think both teams, they shot 30% for the game. We shot 18% for the game, or something like that. And it was just a really defensive struggle and a really ugly game for both teams. And I don't think either team really ever got in their rhythm.
Yeah, definitely not. And I think it was a game of two extremes. Defensively, Coach, you were very good. Offensively, not so good. You tied a school record for the least points scored in a game with 34. Like you said, 18% from the field. And you only turned over the ball 9 times, and you got 59 shots off. So it seemed like the shots just weren't falling.
And I don't think we ever really got into a rhythm or a feel on our offense. And I thought our kids played hard. I don't think there's any doubt about that. I thought they played hard, but we just didn't shoot the ball very well. They didn't shoot the ball very well. And of course, they shot a little better than we did, and they're on their home floor. But I tried to take some positives away from that game and move forward.
Yeah, and you hold the Mustangs to a season low of 50 points on the season, Coach, on their home floor. You keep them at 32% from the field, so defensively you had to be pleased.
We played well over there defensively the last few years. 2 years ago, Casey, we won a game over there 47-45, I think. We held them to 45 on their home floor. The year that we went to triple overtime, that was a very low-scoring game in the 60s before we went to overtime. And then again, we hold them to 50. So, I felt good about our defense. It's just, we're trying to work some things out offensively.
There was a lot of talk about Corbin Thomas heading into this game and the type of season he's having for the Mustangs. He had 16 points, 8 boards, and 3 blocks. Were you pleased with the job you did on him down low, or do you think he took over the game?
No, I don't think he really did. I thought, that a couple of those were, were times where we just lost concentration. I thought John Macklin came in the game and really did a great job. And I thought he did a really good job against him, and I think that you're going to see John do a better job even defensively. And Corbin's a good player. He got some good things, and I can't remember. Would he have 14 or 16 points in that ball game?
16 points, 8 boards.
And so Macklin had 9 boards in that game, and we really did well with him defensively and offensively on the boards. I just think that we just didn't do a very good job of keeping him off the offensive end.
With the loss to Midwestern State, the Texans fell to 8-5 overall and 2-4 in the conference. The Tarleton would have to regroup quickly as they would travel to Portales on Tuesday to take on the Greyhounds of Eastern New Mexico on Wednesday night. The Greyhounds entered on a 6-game losing streak at 5-9 overall. This is a game you'd lose by 3, 59-56. And let's talk about, even before the game started, Coach, you tweaked the starting lineup. You put Damian Clemens and John Macklin in along with Word, First, and Guy. Did you feel like that gave you an energy and a little bit of spark early?
Well, I really did. I mean, not that Devin Carter's been playing pretty well for us. Came off the bench and did a great job for us in that game. We just felt like, at times that Damian does a great job. He's got a pretty good basketball IQ, and he's a good passer. And I think that him and Carter just really feed off each other. I don't think they care who starts. They're both going to get a lot of minutes. And then I just thought that, again, that John Macklin just brings so much energy to the floor. I think he had another 8 rebounds, and he's 2 for 3 from the floor. He's going to give you some blocks. And the thing about he does so well defensively. He really steps out on screens. He really works himself into it. I'll tell you, he works himself into an exhaustion on the floor, and that's what you want to see out of the player.
Yeah, I think the 29 minutes that John Macklin saw was a season high for him.
Yeah, and you're going to see that some more. I mean, you're going to see him move up into that 30, that 30-minute range, because he brings so much to the floor athletically, and he brings so much to the floor defensively, blocks and rebounds. And then, you know, he's 2 for 3 from the floor, and we'd like to get him up and give him about 5 or 6 or 7 more shots, and I think he can do that as he keeps working the offensive glass.
You had a 26-21 lead at the half. You start the second half hot, 10-2 run, take a 15-point lead with 15 minutes to go. But the story of the season, coach, is you've had 11 double-digit leads, and sometimes those leads have just gone away.
Yeah, and I wish I could figure that out. I mean, we have led in every game this year, I think, Casey, but 2 by double figures. And we're on the road. I told the kids the other night in the locker room that it's no time to, you know, we're going to keep working. We're going to keep working hard. This is something that I have never experienced in my 25 years very often. And, you know, been very fortunate and very blessed to win a lot of basketball games. And, you know, sometimes you're challenged a little bit in this life, and you got to, you know, you're not just working to win ball games. You're working with kids' lives right now. And they're going to have some tough times in their lives before this is all over too. And you know, this is a basketball game, and if I can be positive and keep working them and letting them know that they can work through the difficult times, even if it's a basketball game that they're working through difficult times, they're going to be able to handle some things in life when things get difficult. So this is an experience that I haven't been given. Maybe it's been given to me for a reason. I don't know, but you know, I told them the other day, we're at Incarnate Word, we're ahead by 4 points with 3 minutes to go. Should have won the game. We go to Angelo State, we're ahead 13 points, we lose the game. We go to Eastern Mexico, we're ahead 15 points on the road, we lose the game. So there's something there that's missing right now. And, you know, as a coach, you search it out, you keep looking for it. We know one thing, that there's nobody pushing us around. We know one thing, that we can compete with anybody we have on the floor because we're building these big leads. We're just not able to sustain them right now. And give the other team credit. They've hit some incredible shots here in the last 2 or 3 weeks, and incredible shots that I haven't seen in my years. And so these kids are going to continue to play hard. I'll tell you what, we came home from Eastern New Mexico. You were on the bus. I think we got in at 4:45 a.m.
That is right.
We're back on the practice floor at 1:30 that afternoon, the next day, and they had an incredible practice on Thursday. I was really proud of them. They came out there. They worked very, very hard. Their attitude is still very, very strong. They have a lot to play for still. We, you know, we're
12 games left.
We're 8-6 on the season. We're 8-6, and you know, sometimes it feels like I'm 0-14, but we're actually 8-6 on the season, and we do have a winning record, and we're still in competition for the conference, and you know, we have 12 games left, like you said, 7 at home, 5 on the road, and somewhere down the line, you know, I think this thing will click, and we'll get back on the winning track.
And I know I threw this stat out probably one too many times on Wednesday night, Coach, but your first 4-game losing streak in 17 years. And
yeah.
Really, that's a positive, because how many NCAA basketball coaches can say they haven't lost 4 games in a row in 17 years? Not very many.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm glad I haven't, because I don't know if I could have survived it or not, but you know, like I said, I've been blessed. When you only lost in 17 years, you've only had one 4-game losing streak in 17 years of coaching this sport, and how tough it is at this level and in this conference. You know, you feel, you know, I always say this, Casey. You stay in this business long enough, you're going to see everything. Yeah. You're going to see everything there is to see, and you know, I've got people all over the community that's been with me all these years. Got Kyle Monty sitting back there, had actually been on my bench for a while. He came up this morning and said, I wouldn't want to be at practice right now. I said, why not? I mean, it's one of those things. But you know, it's a challenge for me right now. I've had it really, really good. I don't want to say I've had it really easy, but you know, when you're 27-6 and 25-5 and you're 28-4, like we, you know, and every year seems to be really nice, then I think that sometimes you get a little bit to the point where everything is so good all the time that you have to learn how to handle the bad.
You're not used to adversity.
That's right. And so, you know, and I've always been taught that adversity makes you, you know, it brings your true character out. And my character right now is that I'm going to go down and practice hard every day. I'm going to stay positive with these young men because they're working hard. And some way, somehow, we're going to turn this thing around, and I don't know when it's going to be, but I know that they're good enough to compete, and I know that they're good enough to win because they've already shown it. They've got some great wins this year against, you know, Abilene Christian and Henderson State and Kingsville. We have won some good games, and we have been in every game we have played. And so right now we are fighting some adversity, and I think that's my point as the head coach, to make sure that I bring the leadership to the locker room every day. I bring the leadership to the basketball floor and let them know that this is the game. It is a game of life, and they're going to have to learn that there's going to be adversity in life right now, and they're going to have to work through that adversity and making sure that they don't, you know, they don't drop their heads. That they know that you give the very best you can give every day in this world, and that's what this is about right now.
With the loss, the Tarleton Texans fall to 8-6 overall and 2-5 in the Lone Star Conference. We'll take a 1-minute break, and when we return, junior guard Coleman First joins the broadcast for our Texan Player Spotlight when Lunch with Lonn continues right after this. So Lunch with Lonn, I'm your host Casey Hogan, as I'm joined by junior guard Coleman First for our Texan Player Spotlight. So I'll ask our audience like they always do, welcome Coleman to the show. Coleman, good to see you, partner.
Good to see you.
Man, you're the only player back on this roster. I was, looking at the roster this morning. You're the only third-year player on this roster. Looking back, how much have you grown as a player and a leader the last 2 years?
I feel like I've grown a lot. Compared to the first couple of years I was here, it's a change to actually be a captain this year and have to lead the team.
As I say, the first year you're here, you're looking up to guys like Corin Henry, I should say, and now you're the guy folks are looking up to.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And I think it was good for me to learn from Corin for a year. He was a great person to be able to watch and just kind of take in and watch everything he did that first year I was here.
Now, obviously, this team's going through a pretty rough stretch right now, Coleman. You've lost 4 consecutive games. You've been a part of 2 teams the last couple of years that won 24 and 27 games. And naturally, being a third-year guy, you're one of the ones that really knows about the tradition and the winning history here at Tarleton. How tough has it been for you to stay positive during this stretch?
It's been different. I didn't expect it, and it's just something that we're having to work through right now. And we just haven't put a whole game together yet. I feel like we've been able to put parts of games together, maybe a half. We still haven't put 2 halves together yet. So this team's really talented, and I think it's going to come together soon for us.
Well, let's talk about Wednesday night against Eastern New Mexico. You have the ball in your hands. You're down by 3 points with 44 seconds to play. You get fouled from behind the arc. You go to the free throw line, and you got 3 free throws to tie it up. What's going through your head in a moment like that? It's got to be pretty tough.
Yeah, it was tough. The crowd was going crazy. I just said a quick little prayer and just sat back and reminded myself it's just a game and just shot the free throws.
I guess the better question is, how do you maintain your composure after the first and second free throw, knowing you got to hit the third one, especially like you said on the road and they were up, the atmosphere was intense?
Yeah, it was nerve-wracking. I just had confidence in myself and I just went up there and just shot it like I always do.
Now, of course, Rodney Blackman hit the 3 at the end of regulation to give Eastern the win, and something Coach talked about is he's been very pleased with the way this team's responded. Talk about practice yesterday and how the guys are doing.
I really didn't know what to expect after, it was a really tough loss, losing there at the buzzer when we fought so hard all game long. But we really came in with a lot of energy. We were really positive, more so than I even expected. So it was good to see guys step up, even Chuck Guy and Brian Ware. Everybody came in with a positive attitude and really with a lot of energy.
Do you know you're second in the Lone Star Conference right now, 51% from the arc?
I didn't know that.
Pretty impressive. How do you have that much confidence from downtown? I can't make a shot from 12 feet. You're at 22 feet, just knocking them down 51%.
I've really put in a lot of extra work this year, just staying on the gun. I actually get in at least an hour or so every day on the gun, so I think that's really helped out a lot.
Now, as we do each week, let's get a little bit into your personal life, talk about where you're from, whatnot. You're from Denison, Texas. Is there a lot of difference? I've been to Denison, been to Lake Texoma, been to Sherman. Is there a lot of difference between Denison and Stephenville?
There's not a whole lot of difference. Denison's a lot like Stephenville. Stephenville's a little more country, but there's not much difference.
Well, it's not like when Brian Word was here. Word was here 2 weeks ago, and you're talking about the difference between Baltimore, Maryland, and Stephenville. Denison and Stephenville, a little bit of more.
Yeah, there's not that much difference. So.
Now, obviously, your numbers in high school, you were an outstanding player. You had to be highly recruited. Talk to us about why Tarleton was the right fit for you.
Whenever I came on my visit, everything just felt right. It was something that me and my family, we prayed about for a while, and it's just a perfect fit. And I'm so glad I picked this place. I've had such an amazing career so far, and it's I still got the rest of this year and 1 more year to go, and I feel blessed to have picked the right spot.
So you see my cards out there as a true freshman point guard, and I was looking. You played. I wasn't here, but you played quite a bit. I think I averaged 11 minutes per game. What's it like to play for Lonn Reisman as being a true freshman point guard?
Not a lot of freshmen get to play, so that says a lot about Michael Harge, and I honestly believe he's a lot more talented than I was as a freshman. So there's no telling what he's going to be able to do down the road in a couple of years. So that's exciting for him, but it's tough as a freshman. But it's good it's that way.
Now, I see on your bio from TarletonSports.com you like to hunt and fish. I'm guessing during the season you don't have a lot of time to go hunting.
No, sir.
You've been around Just back at home you hunt fish, or have you
Yeah.
in the Stephenville area?
Yeah, me and my dad, we like to do a little hog hunting whenever we can, and you know, I like to go fishing every chance I get to when I'm back at home.
Now, you might not know this, but Coach Reisman and I, we're not very good hunters, but we're very good at counting deer on the way back in the bus. So while y'all are sleeping, we look out the front window and we count deer. I think we had 5 deer we saw on the way back from Port Talis, New Mexico. So you might be able to teach us a thing or two about hunting. So we can count the deer, and we actually saw a pretty big size. You were asleep, but we saw a pretty big buck.
Well, I was trying
outside of Lake Leon. Last question for you, Coleman. Biggest area for improvement for you in your game the last 12 games, the last 11 games of the year, I should say.
I feel like I really need to take care of the ball and really just find a way to get my shots within the offense, and you know, be able to, you know, in those last 5 minutes, be able to step up as a leader. Maybe not just scoring, but you know, just be there for my team as a leader. And yeah, I'd say that's the biggest thing.
Coleman, thanks for your time. Best of luck the rest of the season.
Thank you.
That's junior guard Coleman First, this week's Texan Player Spotlight. We return in 1 minute. Coach Reisman rejoins the broadcast, and we'll preview Saturday night's game against West Texas A&M. You're listening to the Tarleton Athletic KSTV Radio Network. And welcome back to the recently renovated lobby at Bruner Dodge on the corner of the South Loop and US 281 in Stephenville. This is Lunch with Lonn. I'm your host, Casey Hogan, alongside the 25th year head coach of the Tarleton Texans, Lonn Reisman. And Coach, we just heard from Coleman First. Outstanding young man, a great basketball player, but just as good of a man off the court.
He really is, Casey. Coleman's going to graduate right now. His grades are excellent. You know, he's going to graduate on time next year as in his senior year. He had a great first semester here again. I mean, first semester went really well. I know people really care about, you know, what the young men do off the floor too. I see Dr. Snyder and 2 Dr. Chilton's here, and I know what education means to them. And when they see a young man like Coleman that can play the game of basketball, but yet can go to school and get his degree, that's what he's here for. He's here to get a degree and make the best of his life. And you know, he's been really involved in a lot of things off the floor that people don't know about. You know, he's down at First Baptist Church, and he's in the Paradigm program down there, and he, you know, he's doing a lot of things off the floor that's been influential for his teammates. You know, I see him in church on Sundays, and he brings another player to church on Sundays that might not necessarily be at church on Sundays. And so Coleman's doing the things that what you need to do to be very successful in this world. And it's just not all about basketball. It's all about the things that he's learning about life right now.
Coach, let's talk for a bit about the standings around the Lone Star Conference before we get into West Texas A&M. And I won't go through the standings because of time, but just to talk about where you're at. You're 2-5 in the conference, but something you talked to me about yesterday, you're 1 game away. There's 6 teams at 3-4,
yeah,
or 2-5. So this conference,
it's really locked in.
You played 7 so far. You have 11 games left. This conference is still wide open.
Right, and I mean, Casey, you know, the conference is wide open right now. We have 11 games scheduled up in the conference, 6 at home, 5 on the road, with a non-conference game scheduled in between there, but they have some opportunities still, and like I said, there's not really a team that really has manhandled us this year. We have been in every game we've played. We've won some games, we've lost some games, but we've had a lot of controlling games that we usually don't give the lead up. And again, we have to search out why we're giving those big leads up in games, and when we figure that out, I think we'll get better. We are getting better. I've watched some practice, and I like the attitude of our guys. And I said this about a week ago. You know, when you coach as long as I have, you see things that other people don't see. And I told after that Cameron loss, I said it's going to get a little worse before it gets better. And I can start to see that the better is coming now. I can see it. And when that gets to where we want it, I can't tell you if it's going to be tomorrow night or is it going to be next week. But it's going to come. And we are getting better. And I like our team. I wouldn't trade these kids for anybody else's kids on any team. I'm just going to tell you right now. I would not trade mine for anybody else. You know, one thing about it is that I've always been like this. If they lose, you can look at the person that's at fault, and that's me. It's not them. I'm the coach. I take the responsibility. They go out and they work hard, and I will always take the responsibility for losses. And when we win, it's going to be because they went out there and they got that, and they're deserving of the credit for winning.
Time now to preview Saturday night's matchup against the Buffaloes of West Texas A&M. Coach Cooper's squad, 11-4 overall, 5th in the Lone Star Conference at 3-4. Defensively, Coach, they've been outstanding. They're number 2 in the nation in scoring defense. They only allow 56 points per game. Your squad, 12th in the nation in scoring defense. So I can imagine that this is going to be a game. It would be surprising to see it in the 60s.
It will be an ugly game, and I hope people still come to the game because last year we played at West Texas and the score was 42-36. We thought it was a football game out there. It's Rick and I have been around each other for 25 years, and we know each other inside and out. He's got a very good team. They're 11-4, and I look for a really tough game. Probably be a few bloody noses on the floor, and if the officials don't clean it up real quick, it'll be a football game. And because that's the way we're both going to play. We're not going to back down, but sometimes that doesn't translate into a pretty game. And so it'll be a tough game. It'll be a very good game. We were very fortunate to beat West Texas 2 out of 3 times last year, and that's very hard to do in 1 year. And we've split with them the last 2 or 3 years in a row. It's a big game for them. It's a big game for us. But as you get one game closer to the season ending, every game gets a little bit bigger. And so it'll be the first time we've been at home since our students have been gone.
Should be a great atmosphere.
It just seems like we haven't been home for a while, but I guess it should be a great atmosphere for our kids. And if you like basketball and you like to watch kids work hard, you're going to see a team that works very hard tomorrow night.
Couple notes on West Texas A&M. Like you said, Rick Cooper teams are fundamentally sound. They rebound the ball very well. +9 rebounding margin. That's second in the conference. And I know rebounding is big in every game, but you can't allow a team with this type of talent to have second chance points.
No, and it's been one of the things that we've had to work on this year, and I think that's one of the reasons that we're getting a little better, because John Cathy Macklin is playing more minutes right now. In the last 2 games, he had 9 boards at Midwestern. He had 8 boards at Eastern New Mexico. Last 2 games, he's averaged almost 8.5 boards a game. We need that, and I think you're going to see him even get to the 10 and 11 and 13 board games, which we haven't seen since Danny Jones was here. I think you're going to see John Cathy Macklin get into that type of level of rebounding, and that's going to help us a lot. Right now, surprisingly, but we are still out rebounding our opponent by about 1 rebound, and that's something we have to improve on, and hopefully we will as we see these younger guys get a better feel of what we're doing.
One of the reasons that the Buffaloes rebound so well is because of a player named Donald Sims. Tarleton fans might remember him from last year. He was a Lone Star Conference preseason player of the year. He's averaging 14 boards, 8.5 boards and 14 points a game. That's going to be a tough matchup for Cathy Macklin.
And I think John's going to really want to have this great out. This gives John another great opportunity to play against another great post player, which makes him better. He had Colbert at Midwestern last week. Now he has Sims at West Texas this week. And I think that this is what we get to see what John's made of. I don't see John backing down from this game at all. I think you're going to see John play hard. He has a tremendous motor. When I say that, he's got great endurance and he's got great speed. And now that we've inserted him into the starting lineup now, and I look for him to be in that starting lineup the rest of this year and into the future, that he's going to get his confidence level even at another level. And we'll see that as John goes, and as Coleman's talked about, we'll see this team progress as they keep working hard in practice.
And it's not just Donald Sims that can take over a game. They have 2 guards in Kenan Washington and Darnell Jackson, who are very skilled. Jackson, coach, actually had a career-high 16 points in the win over Commerce on Wednesday night.
But, they have a very seasoned team. They got 4 starters coming back from last year. 4 starters coming back, that they're going to bring back against us. And, that experience brings a lot to the table, Casey, when you have that type of experience. The only person that they don't have back was their starting point guard. They got Tez Dumars, and, they got Mason White, and they have Sims, like you said, and they have Kenan Washington. So they have 4 starters that have been in the heat of the battle of the Lone Star. And when you have 4 starters come back in 1 year, you're going to be 11-4, and Rick's an outstanding coach. And so this is going to be a great test for our young team.
It's your Tarleton Texans taking on the Buffaloes of West Texas A&M this Saturday at 7 o'clock from Wisdom Gym. We'll take a quick break, and when Coach and I return, we'll roll the life-size dice and give away some prizes and wrap up this 3rd edition of Lunch with Lonn. This is the Tarleton Athletic KSTV Radio Network. Welcome back to Lunch with Lonn, live from the lobby of Bruner Dodge, and by far, Coach, our biggest crowd of the year, so we thank everyone for coming out. And
I sure do.
To say thank you, we let you roll these life-size dice, and you could win a car wash, you could win an oil change, you could win Tarleton Athletic Gear, you could even win a car from Greg Bruner himself. So, Coach, let's announce our winners.
Well, Greg Bruner has the rules here. I heard that you're not allowed to skid the thing. It actually has to turn over, he said, or he's going to call it a no roll. It's got to bounce, he said. The thing's got to bounce 4 or 5 feet in the air. I don't know
what you guys are talking about. I've never rolled dice.
Yeah, I know you have there. Yes, Casey.
All right, announce our winners.
Oh, the winners. Okay, well, ladies first. Peggy Haney's going to throw it first.
All right, Peggy.
Peggy's going to roll that.
One of the few Tarleton fans in Portales, by the way.
She was in Portales, and I'm glad she was there because we needed her to come out and help us out over there. And her and Bill were both there, and I appreciate them both being there.
Here we go. I don't know.
What'd she win?
She won the oil change.
Got an oil change.
my
All right.
goodness.
Those things are not cheap these days. That's a heck of a win there.
Greg Bruner, was that a legal roll?
It was weak.
I think that was a skid, right? So we call it.
It was a roll.
It was a roll. I noticed that you didn't say anything. I know that you can disqualify someone if you want to.
Yes, I can.
Okay.
He can do that. He owns the place, so he can.
Okay, the next winner is Jerry Thornton. Jerry.
All right, Jerry.
Roll that thing, Jerry. You gotta roll it, partner.
There we go. Jerry rolls, and what does Jerry
Oil
win?
change.
Another oil change. My goodness. Goodness gracious. No.
Hey, you didn't lose the car, Greg. You didn't lose the car.
Still there.
Well, make sure you come out next week. You could win the car. So we'll be here
Just
every
keep bringing
Friday.
people out. Yes.
The next broadcast of Tarleton Texan and Texan basketball tomorrow night from Wisdom Gym as both squads take on the Buffaloes of West Texas A&M University. The Texans tip off at 5. Pre-game show starts at 4:45, and of course the Texans at 7 o'clock. And remember, there's always a 15-minute pre-game show prior to the Texans game that includes myself sitting now with the associate head coach of the Texans, Chris Reisman. There's a number of promotions for Saturday's game. It's Jacksboro night. All Jacksboro residents will be admitted free. It's residential living and learning night. There's going to be a sock hop in the volleyball gym after the game. I don't know what a sock hop is.
Well, you're not old enough to know.
Okay. Is this something that you did back in
my day?
college?
Yeah, back in the early 60s, late 50s, they had sock hops, Casey.
Will you be at the sock hop after the game?
I don't know if I own a pair of socks that I want to go in there with my socks and do a sock hop.
Well, the good news is if you bring your Tarleton ID, you'll get a free
Get free
sock.
admission?
Yeah,
Oh,
you
you
get
get free socks too?
So, yeah,
Well,
Susan's in residential.
so anybody here, I mean, I remember there's probably some people here remember what a sock hop looked like. We probably can't sock and hop anymore, but we could come in and remember what it used to be like.
No comment. The Coach Ronnie Hart Radio Show every Thursday at noon from the lobby of First Financial Bank in Stephenville. Join Mike Young and Coach Hart as they discuss all things related to Tarleton Texan basketball. And of course, Lunch with Lonn is every Friday right here from the lobby of Bruner Dodge in Stephenville. Once again, we want to thank Bruner Motors for hosting Lunch with Lonn. Thanks to Cotton Patch Cafe as they provided today's food. I want to thank Brad back at the KSTV studios for producing the broadcast. And to our engineer, Justin McClure, for being on site and trying to make Coach and I sound good. And trying is the key word there,
That's
Coach.
the key word.
And last but not least, thanks to our live audience here at Bruner Dodge and to each of you listening on KSTV, the Mighty 93, and online at KSTV.com. Coach, time now for our final question. And I know we talked a lot about Rick Cooper, and I know y'all have a lot of respect for each other. And I was looking at the stats this morning. There's 13 Division II coaches with over 500 career wins. You and Rick Cooper, part of that elite group. Rick Cooper's coached for 26 years. He has 532 career wins. You've coached for 26 years. You have 539 career wins. That's pretty remarkable what both of you have done at West Texas and then here at Tarleton.
Well, we've both been blessed. Rick's a good Christian man, and he's a good person. He's a good family man, and we've both been blessed with good careers. And you know, Casey, kind of humbling when you think about all the Division II coaches in this country, and there's just 13 of us that have over 500 wins. That's just longevity, and Tarleton's given me the opportunity to be here all these years and be a part of a great community and a great university, and such great people associated with Tarleton and with Stephenville. So, you know, I feel blessed that I'm here, and I never got up to leave, and this is where I wanted to make my home, and it's been very rewarding, and feel very, very blessed.
Well, we're glad you stayed here this long, Coach, because what you've done here in Tarleton, and you know, we talked about that 4-game losing streak, but the type of success you've had here. I told people earlier in the year we're spoiled here because we've won a lot of basketball games, and you go to Wisdom Gym expecting to win every night, but as a coach, I imagine you wouldn't have it any other way.
That's right. That's what you want to create.
Coach, thanks for your time. Best of luck tomorrow night against the Buffaloes. That's going to do it for this third edition of Lunch with Lonn. They should be tuning in on Saturday at 7 o'clock as the Texans take on the Buffaloes of West Texas A&M. For the 25th year head coach of the Tarleton Texans, Lonn Reisman, I'm Casey Hogan saying so long from Bruner Dodge in Stephenville. Until next time, have a great Friday, everyone, and we'll talk to you tomorrow night from Wisdom Gym.